All right, Dr. Brian Mann coming at you from the University of Miami. I wanted to go ahead and go over a study that we haven't gone over yet, but we're getting ready to, and it really made me think about it from going over the kayak study the other day with you guys. And this is the effect of instantaneous performance feedback during 6 weeks of velocity-based resistance training on sport-specific performance tests. Now, the authors here, Aaron Randall, John Cronin, Justin Keogh, Nicholas Gill, and Murray Peterson. Now, I wanted to point out that this author right here, Nicholas D. Gill, while he does work at AUT, he is also the head strength and conditioning coach for the New Zealand All Blacks. John Cronin, I'm sure you guys have seen him on multiple other studies whenever you're looking at anything related to athletic performance. He's been around forever and has done an amazing job pushing the field of strength and conditioning. Now, here's the training protocol that they use. And I pulled this from the article, and I just wanted to show it's just a basic program. Now, the whole group, and let's talk about the population too. This was 6 weeks velocity-based resistance training on sport-specific performance tests. This was done on the athletes that were basically like the minor league professional players. All right, and we'll see that here shortly. But their workout program, it's really basic. And now the only place that there was variation between these two groups was right here. We see 3 sets of 3 on Wednesday and Friday. So 6 sets of 3 over the course of the entire week is the only spot that these two programs varied. Now, and with these variations, remember, these are athletes that are on the pro level, essentially. 18 of 241 repetitions. I went back and I counted up the number of repetitions. So only 18 out of 241 repetitions for the course of the week varied. And notice that they weren't even by loads. All of the loads were the same on that. That's 40 kilos. 3 sets of 3 at 40 kilos. That's not 3 sets of 3 at a different load based off of body weight or strength, etc. That's what the variation was. And here was the feedback that they received. So one group got to see this feedback. The other group did not. So simply seeing this visual feedback, that is the only difference between the two. Now let's look at the results. Now we use some. Here's the differences between the feedback and the non-feedback. This goes in meters for vertical jumps. They saw a 3 centimeter increase in 6 weeks, and again, these guys are, they're professional athletes. So to see a huge gain in 6 weeks, it's not very likely. Okay. The non-feedback group went up about 1 centimeter. Now, whenever we have increases in velocity at the same load, we're going to have changes that are going to be existent within the program. Now, even with that, we talked about in that study with the kayak, the Leo and Hopkins study, that one group, they were metronomed. Right? Well, this group wasn't metronomed. This group just received feedback, so they ended up moving a little bit faster on their squat jumps. We look here, and we see that we have a 6 centimeter versus a 1 centimeter change, a 0.01 second versus a 0.00. For the 20-meter sprint, a 0.03 versus a 0.00. And this is actually the region where I would expect to see the biggest change, or at least to start. Now, why is that? Well, the changes that differed were what? Well, they were just at a higher velocity because of feedback, right? Just at a higher velocity because of feedback. So if you remember what we went over for the changes at the start with that kayak study, the slow training did better there. Well, these were both fast. It's just one happened to be faster than the other. Seeing a 0.01 change, we'll give it to them. Okay, well, that we found that is a a minimally, the smallest worthwhile change in a study that I did with Jerry Mayhew on the sport of football. While this is rugby, they typically start from a 2-point instead of a 3-point stance, so there's some differences there, which may, in fact, actually lead to us seeing an improvement here at the 10 because the difference is stance. I don't know if that's going to be significant or not, but whenever we look at the 20, the .03 is definitely within that smallest worthwhile change, and that's at the 20 meter. Well, what varies here is that they're already up and moving, so they're not overcoming inertia; they're overcoming their own. This is them moving fast, being able to move faster as a result of training faster. The 30-meter sprint, we see that we go from a .03 to a .06, so that indicates that we have seen another 0.03 seconds of speed improvement. So it didn't just all occur at the 20-meter, but then again, we're only looking at that 30. So that 10 to 20, they saw that extra .03, and then they saw another .03 to that 30-meter sprint. And this kind of falls in line with what Boo Schexnayder had mentioned, like I had talked about in the last video. You squat for your 10, you clean for your 20, maybe to the 30, and then beyond 30 meters, everything is sprint mechanics, right? Well, man, we're seeing it right here, dude. We see that these two bands see a pretty massive improvement in 6 weeks as a result of that. Now, while these aren't sprinters, right? A pro sprinter will work an entire year for a .01 improvement. Well, these guys are seeing a .06 just from a change in an exercise. Now, the effect sizes. So they use magnitude-based inference to say, hey, is this really what caused the change? Well, on the vertical jump, because the difference between the two, we see that, hey, it's possible. It's possible. Yeah, maybe they did, maybe it didn't. We look at the horizontal, and, well, that's likely was a result of just giving the feedback. And then we look at the sprints, and it goes possibly, almost certainly. So what we're looking at here is that we have these improvements as a result of the intervention that we did. If you remember, that intervention, what did it vary in? The jump squat only. And how did it vary? Did it change the load? Did it tell them to rest more? What did it tell them to do? It didn't tell them to do anything different. So what happened here? What are we seeing as a result of these improvements? What we're seeing is that simply by providing feedback and not changing anything else in your program, you get better sport-specific adaptations. The group that simply gave feedback, they ran faster, they jumped further, and they jumped higher as a result of that. So what this is saying is that simply by giving feedback within your program, you see bigger improvements. So what I'm saying here is that you don't have to change anything in your training workout. If you just give them the feedback of velocity on the exercises, that velocity is the biggest component. Olympic lift variance and derivatives, jumps, etc. You're going to see improvements in their speed abilities as a result of that. So you don't have to change a thing of what you do. You just change how you do it. And we see this time and time again in the literature. There, of course, is this study. There's another one from, I believe it's Pareja Blanco, where they looked at just the effect of maximum intended velocity and half of their maximum intended velocity. And we saw that the max velocity group saw better speed and jumping improvements. Well, no duh. We see it time and time and time again. If you can facilitate a higher velocity on an exercise that is looking at the velocity into the spectrum, you get better adaptations on that velocity into the spectrum. No duh. Specific adaptations to impose demands. Rearing its ugly head again. Or beautiful head again. I like thinking of it as a beautiful head because it is something that governs all training. If you like this type of information, please come join us at the U. Here's the website, sites.education.miami.edu. We have an undergrad in exercise physiology that can prepare you for medicine, strength and conditioning, athletic training, physical therapy, and of course, obviously, exercise science. We have a master's in exercise science as well, in kinesiology and sports sciences. And you can have different tracks there. I believe there's a nutrition track. There's a strength and conditioning track. There is a clinical exercise physiology track. Would love to have you as a student in either one of those programs if that's something that you're looking at going into. And now here's why I really do this, is for coaches' education. Of course, you can get the free videos, but if you want things that are more in-depth, go ahead and come and join us. I keep saying any day now, and I'm, my pace is a lot different than other people's, I guess, but at some point very, very soon, we'll have a NSCA approved course that will give you CEUs for taking it. We'll have a general strength and conditioning course, and we'll have I'm calling it a choose your own adventure course, where you get to learn about specific topics, and that will help your development. Now, as always, if you have questions about this or anything, you can give me you can reach out to me. My email is really easy, just bmann, BMANN, @miami.edu. You also could reach out to me on social media. And quite frankly, that's usually the best place to get a hold of me, as I've been getting 200 and 300 emails a day with the whole COVID and pandemic and all that changing the way that classes have to operate. But my social media, @JBryan, BRYAN, Mann, MANN. That's the same on Twitter and Instagram. I'm up on both of those places. And I'm on Facebook too, but man, my Facebook is getting, it's pretty well full. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this short video, and I hope to see you soon.